Hello, my name is Jerome and welcome to my Kabolite station. And today I'm going to show you how to solve the problem of track squealing. I had a problem when I purchased my Kabolite and I received it. One of the tracks would squeal very loud when I would turn it. So I contacted the factory actually and worked with them, and they sent me a video on how to solve the problem. And there's two methods that I'm going to show you. The first method is the one that they told me by taking this hub here, loosening the screws and rotating it. You can rotate it 5 or 6 times to change the amount of noise that comes out of it. And I did that, and it seemed to work as long as the track wasn't on. But soon as I put the track back on, it still squealed very loudly, which led me to believe there was just too much tension in the track. So this front idler wheel, there's a spring in here that moves this wheel back and forth to keep the tension on this track. So my solution was to cut a few coils off of that spring, about 4 or 5 coils, and put it back together. And once I did that, the back wheel was quiet like the other side was, and there was no degradation of performance in the tension held on this track. It doesn't slide off or anything. And I'm not sure if you can see this. When I push down on the track, this wheel moves back. And the purpose of that is to take up the tension and keep this track taut while it's running. So I'm going to show you that, and I'm going to show you an example of how loud it was initially before I implemented my fix. So stay tuned. Right track is pretty quiet. Left track screams. Right track. Left track. Left track is very loud. Alright, I'm going to demonstrate how to take your tracks off and the motor on the back of the track wheel so that you can remove the track. You need to have a 1.5 millimeter right here, 1.5 millimeter Allen key to remove these screws. So I'll remove them. They're long screws. And it's nice to keep one of these little metal trays with a magnet in it so that you don't lose your hardware. There's a total of 7 screws. All right. Now I have all the screws out. With all of the screws out, I can just slide this track off. Have to lift it up off the rollers on the top, and the track and the motor piece comes right out. And this is what it looks like. See if I can zoom in. You can see 4 gears at the very center, and this green part is lubricant or grease. Inside of here is the actual motor for the tracks, and you can see the gear also. So one of the methods of quieting the squealing coming from your track motor is, let me grab something to point. You can see these individual holes in here, and also on the excavator there are nubs which align with these holes. So when you have it set in, once I have it lined up here but it's not going in, you have to very lightly and quickly, there it goes. As I move the motor in here, just tapping it a little by little, the gears of this piece here will line up with the actual motor, and it clicked in. You can do that, spin your motor, see how it sounds. If it's still loud, you can rotate it, shift all the sets of holes, tap your track motor, it went in. You see that one right there is a little quieter. So that's one way that you're able to quiet your track motor from squealing, is to rotate this motor to get it to line up better to reduce the noise. Actually, when I received my Kabolite and it was that loud, I bought it from Extreme RC, and after sending a couple emails back and forth, they sent me an email from the factory with a guy showing me how to do this. So that's how I did it. But also, sometimes even that was not enough. It was quieter when I did this, but compared to the other track, this track was still noisy, and I'm going to show you how I actually solved my problem completely. So here I put the screws back in and have the back track motor assembly together. And you can see it's pretty quiet. However, when I used to put the track on, it would start squealing loud all over again. So I'm going to show you the drastic measure I took that solved the problem easily. This front wheel is a spring in here. It moves in and out to keep tension on your track. Then this just slides out, no tools needed. As you'll notice, this red spring here, I had to cut the spring. And this is the other part that I cut off the spring. So once I cut this spring, because I figured it was too much tension that was forcing that motor to squeal like that, I haven't had any problems since then. And I cut the spring using a Dremel tool with a cutoff wheel. And it's very important when you hold your spring, hold it in a vise or hold it with vice grips, because it will tend to want to catch and fling it somewhere. So you want to have a good grip on it, wear safety glasses, and preferably wear some gloves so you don't mess your hand up. But once that was the case, it puts less tension on here, but it never has slipped since I was climbing the excavator through the dirt with the less tension. But it also allowed this motor back here to be very quiet, like the one on the other side is. So now I'm going to demonstrate how to put the track back on the excavator with your motor and everything on. First thing you want to do is the center track here. Make sure it's lined up and centered on this front idler tension wheel. Once that's the case, you want to get it over these two rollers at the top and get it partially positioned on the back wheel. And what's going to happen is I'm going to push this in that direction towards the gears while I turn this wheel, the back wheel, and it's going to grab and roll itself on. Let me move my remote. So here we go. I'm pushing this idler in as far as I can with this hand, and it gives me more slack to get this started on the teeth in the back. And there you go. It just pops itself on, and it's still quiet. And that's how you solve your squealing track motors on the Kabolite Excavator. Thank you. If you like what you see, click like, and I will bring you some more tips later. Bye.